The number one reason your IELTS speaking score is not increasing is because you are making these four common mistakes. And I can assure you that you are making the last one. So in order to increase your speaking score, make sure to watch this video to the very end, because this video will prove very beneficial for you. Memorizing answers is very common in the IELTS speaking, but it can really harm your score because memorization is marked in the lowest band score, the 4 to 5 category. And if your desired band score is above a 6, then you should avoid memorization at all costs. Most students have a common misconception that the examiner wouldn't know I memorized this answer. But the examiner has had decades of experience and he has interviewed lots of students. So he'll definitely know when you've memorized an answer. Like you're speaking like a robot, so obviously the examiner will point out and reduce your score. Here you should avoid memorization. For example, let's suppose you've given an answer of a question word to word very good because you've memorized it, but you couldn't answer the remaining questions up to that mark. The examiner will immediately know he has given only one question answer very good. In the remaining question, he doesn't even know what to say. This is memorized and he will reduce your score. To be honest, I can't blame students for this because it had been taught to us to memorize and cram these subjects, these words, these sentences in colleges, schools, at universities. But the IELTS speaking test is different. It's a natural test. You don't memorize things. It's about flexibility. Try practicing using flexible answers. Answer the same question but with a different response. Be flexible in your answers. And try memorizing idioms, phrasal verbs, and only some words, chunks, not the whole answer. This is a common misconception that IELTS speaking test is formal. Just because IELTS test is overall formal doesn't mean that the IELTS speaking test needs to be formal. It is an informal test, just like listening. The audio that will be used in the listening test will be informal. It's a conversation between two people. And if you see any movie, any podcast, any audiobook, the audio will always be informal because it was a conversation between two people. Indeed, IELTS reading and writing are formal, but in IELTS speaking, you don't need to be formal. And I would advise you to be a bit informal because it relaxes the environment and you can just answer better. Here you can use abbreviations like cuz for because, wanna for want to, gonna for going to. These are allowed. So don't hesitate to use informal words. Will using super complex words get me a high band score? No, it won't. In fact, I would say that it will reduce your score because it will impede your fluency. Just take an example. Somebody has asked you a question and you are trying to use super complex words. Obviously, you need time to think, and that time delay will result in fluency problems. And here you need to keep it in mind that fluency is much more important than lexical resource. It weighs much more than your vocabulary, and it's the major thing that is judged in the speaking test. So I would personally advise you to avoid using complex words. Only use them if you know how to use them and if you can use them naturally. Don't force them. Plus, if you look at the band descriptors, you will find nowhere that you should be using complex words. You should be paraphrasing the words using different words, not repeating the same ones. For example, there is the word advantages. You can use pros, you can use merits, you can use benefits. This is called paraphrasing. Here I did not use any super complex word. Now, the most common mistake that all of you might be making is that you think that ideas don't matter. Here, the quality of ideas don't matter, but the number does matter. Obviously, if you want to speak, you need to know what you have to speak. Okay? Art speaking is a conversation, okay? And if you don't have any idea like what you have to speak, what you want to speak, how can you even communicate with the examiner? Fluency is the most important thing, and in order to be fluent, you need to know what you have to say. Trust me, majority of the students struggle with fluency because they don't have ideas. They just don't know what to say, and they will be like, they will take 5 to 10 second pause between an answer, and then the examiner will cut them and move to the next one. So here you need to know what you have to speak, and the only way to get ideas about some topics is you read. I would advise you to read articles, because this way you will not only get some ideas, but you will improve your vocabulary. In part 2 speaking cue card, your ideas do matter, because you have to speak continuously after 2 minutes. And if you just run out of ideas, how can you speak for that long? So have a lot of ideas here for the part 2. And even in part 3, the majority of students struggle with idea generation, because sometimes they are given uncommon topics and they just don't know what they have to say. So read as much as possible and get new ideas. Remember, if you want a band 9, especially in the part 3 section, then you don't want to miss even a single question. So you need to have ideas. Therefore, these are the 4 most common speaking mistakes made by students. And if you want to know more about idea generation, especially in part 3, then here is a video. Make sure to watch it. Take care. Love.